Hi friends, I'm back for another, okay, it's gone now. That was strange. I'm back for another Come With Me, this time for the new Omen film, which is a prequel, The First Omen. I just got finished rewatching the original Omen. The anxiety I feel watching that film, it's so good, and I'm really excited to see how it's going to blend in with this prequel. As a prequel to the 1976 original, The First Omen is about an American woman who is sent to Rome to begin a life of service for the church, but encounters darkness that causes her to question her faith as she uncovers a terrifying conspiracy of evil. I'm assuming this will be a direct prequel, and it basically will end where the first film starts and Damien is given to his family, given to Robert, because at the start of the original Omen, we see Robert accept this baby when his wife has just lost hers and she has no idea of what's going on. So I think this is going to be the story of how Damien came to be, which I'm really excited about. The film also stars Neil Tiger Free, who I loved in Servant. If you haven't seen that series, it's something else. It's very bizarre. I have not watched the trailer, but I've heard it is incredibly spooky, and I really want to see if it lives up to the same atmosphere and vibe as the original, or if they do something completely different with it. Obviously, there's a lot of Omens within the franchise as a whole. We've had remakes, we've had sequels, so I'm really excited to see how they approach this prequel. And honestly, I will be really happy if someone says the line, "Look at me, Damien, it's all for you. It's all for you."
It's all for you!
That will really send me over the edge if they can do that. If they can work it in naturally, we'll find out. But come with me spoiler free and I'll let you know whether the Omen, the first Omen, is worth your time and money at the cinemas. Let's go. Hi friends, I just got out of The First Omen. I don't know, I have mixed feelings on that. First, I do want to say, it's a good movie. I think they did good with the source material, very good. The stylized approach was different than I was expecting. I thought it would very much match the original, and it didn't. It has a completely different feel than the original Omen, but it also has incredible imagery, and the music was amazing, really immersive, really intense, and I would say that more matched the original, but very epic. It was very suggestible, which I liked. So the movie follows Margaret, who is played by Nell Tiger Free, and she moves from America to Italy to begin her life service for the church. And she has been around this her whole life, and now it's her time to really shine and show her faith. But as we said at the beginning, when she's there, she realizes not everything is as it seems. The thing that I was kind of unsure about, and still am, I think that the atmosphere and everything was really spooky, very ominous, very dark. But the storyline itself felt very predictable. I guessed basically everything that was gonna happen, and not that I expected it to be very twisty. It's not like the original Omen is either, especially knowing it's a prequel and you know the story of Damien and everything that happens. The film does a good job of explaining the core origin and the information, which you don't get from the original. So I did like that, and I did like the explanation, but I felt like what is discovered is very obvious, and I don't know if I was expecting a little bit more than that, because the film itself is less, I don't want to say it's less of a horror, because it's 100% a horror movie, but it's less focused on the horror aspects and more so focused on the drama. And it's interesting because that's kind of the stylization of, 70s drama horror, which they do focus more on the storyline. But I felt like there was less emphasis on the actual horrific parts and more of them setting up this storyline that seemed quite obvious. I hope that I'm coming across clear there. So I didn't want so much emphasis on something that was very straightforward. I could pick up the pieces, you know? I could figure out what was going on. The stylization was really interesting because it fit very much the original at the start, and because it's set in Italy, it has that beautiful, you know, Rome Catholic thing going on, especially in the 70s. They talk about a lot of social issues. I thought that was a really good snapshot in time, and I guess that's how they created a lot of the drama story and made it seem quite real, because we're expected to believe things in this film that don't feel quite real. So I really did like the setting and how it all kind of came together, but I felt like as it went on, the way that the film told the story was a little bit different and a little bit more modern, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just don't feel like it suits like the follow-up of The Omen after this. It doesn't feel completely cohesive, which I mean, know that they're not expecting to do that, but when it's a prequel, those are the things I kind of look for. I will say that the acting was superb. I think everyone was great in this film. Very believable, very realistic, and Nell Tiger-Free is just beautiful, and her portrayal of Margaret, I loved it. I loved every second of her. I think that she really grabs onto viewers, and there is just something really interesting and mysterious about her that I've seen in other roles that she's done as well, and she can really pull people in without much background information at all. One of the things I absolutely loved about this film was the way they approached scares. They did have some jump scare moments, but only because physically it made sense within those moments, but they really focused on nestling these little moments of shock and terror of true evil in front of you, and I think that they were the most unexpected moments and parts that really captured this awesome feeling of uncomfortableness. The gore in this film was visceral. Intense. I was squirming. I thought that that was one of the most unique parts of this film, and I think that those images are going to be stuck in people's head for a while. That, along with the amazing acting from our lead and the music, those are the things that I absolutely loved in this movie. But I have to say, part of me wonders if, because the storytelling is so strong and they had to make it fit The Omen and what happens in the later films, part of me wonders if I wouldn't have preferred to see an original concept completely. It is a good entry for The Omen, do not get me wrong. I do love seeing prequels and anything building on a franchise. I'm always really curious to see where they take that, especially if it's something set in a different time period. So we call in the 70s a different time period, but something that has to look vintage or different, and how they adapt that, especially to screen. And this is an epic film for sure that you'll want to see on the big screen because of all of that insane music, the hymns, the chants. It's all epic. Very epic. But I really feel like they had to adjust the story to fit within the parameters of the original story. And because there were so many other glimmering moments in it, I wish that it would have broken free of this story it had to link to, because I felt like there was something really special going on here. I'm always curious why they bring back stories as prequels so many years later, like decades later. I know there's been remakes, obviously, as The Omen, but the idea to really dive into that story, and I just wanted to see it kind of not be so predictable. I guess that's it. Not be such a predictable, straightforward story, especially if we're going to focus on the drama within it. This is a movie that you really want to sit down and sink into because of the story, and if the story is not the story that you've already kind of figured out by seeing the original film, then you just really have to rely on getting immersed within the atmosphere of it, because there's not much else to think about. And I guess I just want something a little bit more thought-provoking because there was so much else going for it. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. I do think that it's a really good movie. I just think that there was so much potential in the casting and the directing style. I wish I could see more. I think that they had a really good thing going, so I would like to see an original project from them. For originality, I'm gonna have to give it like a 4. I did like the explanation behind everything. Don't get me wrong, I thought that was great, and it's really nice sometimes to not be so ambiguous. I do like being ambiguous, but sometimes it's good not to be that, and you will get a lot of answers in this one, which I liked. But it's very straightforward. And for scare and gore, I'm going to give it a 7. I don't think it's too scary, but I do think the tension built on itself, and the imagery was phenomenal. Have you checked out The Omen yet? I really recommend checking this one out in cinemas. it was a treat for your eyes and your senses, and I hope you enjoyed just as much as me. I've also done a wrap up this week and a what's coming to VOD on streaming platforms in April, so check that out if you want to, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.